Hi, everybody. How are you? Welcome to Odd Shape Panel. We're back. Is this the first themed episode of the year? I don't remember. What did we do before this?
I do not remember.
Oh, we did action.
Yeah.
For anyone who didn't
did.
watch the last Odd Shape Panel, we did action movies. But this week, we're going to do one of our director spotlights. This is our second one. I kind of want to do more of these just because we talk about movies all the time, but we never really get to talk about like the people who make them. So if you ever have any ideas for another director spotlight besides we did Edgar Wright, which could be found in there's one.
Sam wanted Terry Gilliam. I liked that idea too.
Mavis says hello.
Yes,
she's here.
Mavis is here.
But before we get any further, we are talking about Stanley Kubrick tonight. If you haven't gotten a chance to see the questions, I did put them in the description. So I'm trying to be on top of this stuff. Real quick, let's say hello to everybody in the chat.
This cat is a menace tonight. I do apologize for any Mavis interruptions. She is
that's why she's on
hyper today.
If you notice, our logo is Mavis's face on like a technical difficulties background. There's a reason for that. Although she isn't the one who unplugged the modem during one of my fights, so.
I don't think you mentioned that our other director spotlight was on Edgar Wright.
Yep.
You guys can check that one out.
That was a lot of fun too. We had like Janine came in dressed as Scott Pilgrim, and she had the cricket bat from Shaun of the Dead, and we even had some costumes. Yeah. It was a lot of fun. I tried to go for a disheveled beard. That's my Kubrick.
I also wanted to give a shout out. We got a few new patrons this week on patreon.com.
Yes.
And Will Maguire is now a patron producer. So thank you so much, Will. That's really awesome.
That means we have 3 people. And what that means is just they give $10 or more a month, and they get their names and their credits. And not to say that any other patrons are no less responsible for the production of our
but we just want to show a lot of appreciation. It's a significant amount of money, and it helps us keep the show
did
going.
add a bonus for patrons of
I was getting there.
Oh, I'm sorry. Look,
for the $5 patrons, we just added a new little perk, and that is going to be the skip the line feature. So there will be a short fast pass line for patrons, $5 patrons and up. And they'll get the option to skip the line so that they can get in early, because we know that everybody wants to get in as soon as they can so that they can say what they need to. And we want to, thank our patrons, and we thought that was a good way to do it. I was actually like, why didn't we think of this before?
Well, look, we say Edgar Wright, and look who pops up in the chat. Janine, if anyone is a Schmodown fan, you may have seen our good friend Janine during an interview. I'm not sure if it was the latest episode.
It did just come out.
It was?
Yeah.
So,
she posted the link on her page. That's probably the easiest way to find it, and I also retweeted it. But yeah, check out her interview. It was about an hour and 22 minutes in.
Not to say you shouldn't watch the other hour 20 minutes beforehand, but to skip directly
if you want to get just to Janine, which I skimmed the whole video and found it for you. So it's an hour and 22 minutes in. There's a really great interview with her, and she looks beautiful, and she was super charming, and she does a nice promo for her graphic design, which she also has helped us out many times.
Oh, yeah.
So it was really awesome to watch her on that.
I'm wearing one. I'm wearing one of Janine's designs right now. But, all right. So let's say hello to everybody in the chat. Janine, Billy, Eric Ostemacher. I saw Amy Awesome in here earlier. Chase, Joe and Ashley from Geek to My Nerd. If you haven't subscribed to their channel, they're right there in the chat. Check them out. They do a lot of Let's Plays. And they also do movie reviews over at Tough, which is like our mama channel.
Also, while we were talking about patrons really quick, I did want to say that the $1 patrons who end up on our mailing list will be getting a little card for Valentine's Day coming up soon, as per usual. And they will have an exclusive item, which is part of a 3-part set that you can only get if you are an OSP patron. So if you want to become a patron, now's a really good time so you can get that first item.
For sure. But you didn't come here for a commercial. Also,
it's a little commercial.
It's a little commercial. We also hope Dell and Cal and Dell's boyfriend Joe have a good time at Raw tonight. Some wrestling event. I don't know. But yeah. So let's get into this. First caller we have would be Tom Zambino. Fast Pass.
Yep, Fast Pass.
He's our newest patron, and
yeah, just today, right?
Minutes ago. I think he just wanted to get in. I promise I won't bring up Patreon for another 5 minutes. So we're gonna go ahead and give Tom a call.
So the bar plays music downstairs, and sometimes I make up my own lyrics.
Oh my God.
And I was doing an OSP version of Despacito, and I rhymed it with Tom Zambino, just to let you know. Crazy.
You did a whole thing about cars and popcorn.
I did.
Yeah. Tom Zambino. He's the host of Popcorn and Cars and Popcorn.
It was better than that.
Yeah, no, it was much better. I'm trying to recall it. I was doing something. There we go.
You can see the chat, though. Make sure that we're not missing what people are saying.
I'm sure we won't miss too much. I just got to find Tom's.
Gotta write these down. Tell them every time.
Patrons will have their emails written down. Damn, I'd even make 5 minutes.
I think he's trying to set up anyway.
Okay.
No incredible rush there.
No incredible rush. Well,
I can't remember that email. That's pretty memorable.
It is. I had to send it to me 2 times in a row because I didn't check it last time.
First, exactly 2 weeks later, he sends it again. Okay, I think he's ready now.
So am I.
I wonder if he heard my whole bit. So hopefully after we move, you won't hear so much crazy stuff outside. The walls are so paper thin here. But
it's true.
Looking forward to that.
All right. So I don't know. I never heard of the Stanley Kubrick guy.
Hello there.
Hey Tom. How's it going?
Oh, it goes. How you guys doing? Oh, not bad. Just watching the snowfall. I think it's ended actually, but yeah, Michigan things.
Nice.
Is it heading our way? Stop it. Stop.
I can try, but I may need storm.
You need a tiny net. Sure fire.
Well, are you a Kubrick fan?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe a little bit.
Look at that.
I don't think he is.
I don't think he is.
I think
he might be.
He puts those up ironically.
No, he just got them for tonight.
No.
Yes,
I'm a heavily Kubrick fan. I recently, one of the last things I did when I worked at Best Buy was use an award that I got along with the employee discount and just bought all the Kubrick films, ironically, except for Barry Lyndon and one of the early ones. But I have most of his movies on Blu-ray, including the cool steel pack for Strangelove. He's probably my favorite director, so really up there.
Well, then you're the perfect first guest for tonight. We can really get into this. All right, so question number 1. We wanted to know, what is your favorite Stanley Kubrick film?
I thought you said favorite, not best, because best would trick me up for a while. So my favorite is 2001. And one of the big reasons for that was my dad was pretty much the guy that got me into movies in the first place. And probably when I was way too young to really get 2001, he was, I don't know why, but he figured since I love Star Wars, I love various sci-fi movies, that for some reason this little kid, like I think I was 10 years old or younger, this kid was ready for 2001: A Space Odyssey, and I was kind of doubtful at first because I'm like, this is what am I watching? And as the film progressed, I wasn't sure what I was watching, but I loved it. And then every time I revisit, you get the combination of both. Now I can finally appreciate the filmmaking aspects as well as the storytelling, and the you also get that little bit of nostalgia because you watch that magical movie when you're a kid, and that music, the visuals, all just resonate with you.
Yeah, absolutely. I fully agree. That's a gorgeous movie and certainly one of my favorites of his. The things I really love about Kubrick are well represented in that one. It's beautiful to look at. The music is amazing with it. It's weird and wonderful the way through. I know a lot of people think that movie's boring, but I think it's insane to say that. There's nothing boring
It's,
about that to me at all.
I can see where they might be coming from. It's a bit slow paced, but if you're really into the visuals, the direction, and sci-fi in general, then it's absolutely fantastic. And the effects that they used back then, it's not only does it hold up, it puts a lot of modern sci-fi movies to shame. Like, I would hold that up against a lot of the movies that have been coming out that have just been CGI shit shows. I'll
Yeah.
take the classic effects in 2001 any day.
Yeah, Geek to My Nerd in the chat, Ashley and Joe, they say that 2001 is like watching a painting in motion, and I think it's exactly true. The part where moving or he's running, right? Because he's like exercising on
Yeah.
the like
Yep.
big ass treadmill that's just the outside or the interior of the ship, but it runs along. Yeah, it's just how like the way it's filmed and stuff, it does very much look like a moving photo. Like I guess.
Absolutely. Like I love that's his aesthetic that like every frame is a painting and that he's inspired directors who do that as well, like Paul Thomas Anderson, who's one of my favorites, and I love that in a film that you can like literally freeze frame any shot in their movies and it's just gorgeous. Like you can print it out and make a poster right now.
But
But
I liked what TJ had to say about watching it like when he was young. I think this was the first watch too.
TJ?
What? No. Oh, I'm sorry, Tom. Well, to be fair, TJ is also named Tom.
Too many tops.
Too many Toms.
Too many
Um,
times.
so I think I remember watching like because I don't think I watched the entire movie because I was a kid and my attention span couldn't appreciate that. There's definitely I remember like looking up and seeing like the bone flying in the air and the howl, and I think an interesting pick to show a child because I think there's scenes of it that are as tense as like The Shining and stuff, but in no way as horrifying because like it's more of a existential like kind of horror, and I couldn't grasp that as a child. I was just like, okay, but I don't know.
Yeah, and I just want to say that I fucking love Hal. Hal is the coolest and so menacing and so like simplistic and beautiful in its simplicity
And that
and
voice.
super iconic. Like, I've tattooed Hal on people. That's what I remember the most from the movie.
And all because Stanley Kubrick didn't like IBM.
And Hal made one of the better Simpsons Treehouse of Horror episodes.
Oh yeah,
That
Janine in
Pierce
the chat
Brosnan
says
voice.
Space fetus. Hashtag space fetus, says Janine. Well, of movies that we probably watched when we were too young. I was 15, saw, and as many of you may know, that's my second favorite movie of all time.
You guys
Just
froze.
under another movie.
I didn't hear the title of the movie.
Oh, okay. Okay, so I was 15 the first time I watched A Clockwork Orange.
Oh, geez.
And 10th grade, I did a school project in drama class on Stanley Kubrick, and I remember watching it and having to try to find a 5-minute segment that I could play in class. That was interesting. Had a huge effect on me from a young age. I think it's probably the first movie that I ever watched that turned me into like a person who genuinely loves films and appreciates like films, you know, like art pieces that are movies instead of just like a popcorn flick or something, you know. I watched that movie so many times, easily 50, 60 minutes. It's kind of like a rainy day movie to me, and it's just that
Are you singing?
Singing in the Rain, yeah. It's just that every part of it's so interesting, and I find the story so compelling. A lot of people focus on the first part, the first act of the movie before Alex goes to prison, but I actually think that from the moment he gets arrested, the story gets far more interesting. By the time you get to the third act and they've really gone full circle, you feel a little bad for him. And for him to by Anthony Burgess and stuff too, but for him to translate this book that's basically in a made-up language, and for him to make these characters sympathetic, like a character like Alex DeLarge, who is so cold and murderous and awful at such a young age, sympathetic by the end, is masterful. Make a movie that looks like A Clockwork Orange. Many people have tried, and many people have made movies that are similar to it that are very good, but none of them are like this. Like, it's so strange and beautiful and interesting the whole way through. It's easily my favorite of his.
Now, how do you both feel about Kubrick adapting properties? Because we were talking about 2001. That's, you know, fresh. But like taking The Shining and taking A Clockwork Orange, making it his own, obviously successful.
Tom, you can answer first if you'd like.
So I can't speak to many of his adaptations because I haven't really read a lot of the source material, but I did recently get through The Shining, the book, and so obviously you have a lot of fun comparing, contrasting the book and the movie. But maybe it's just because I watched the movie first, but I just didn't feel. I felt like Kubrick did a great job of trimming a lot of fat out. Now, I appreciate the ending of the book The Shining is top notch. I'd say about the last 150, 200 pages were fantastic. Had me on edge. But there was a lot of fat in that book. There was a lot of Danny and Wendy, and I've seen in a lot of analysis that was one of the biggest changes made was kind of taking that Jack was basically Stanley's favorite character, and the rest kind of took a back seat, which frankly I'm okay with because even as I read the book, Jack was the most interesting to me. So I think with what I'm trying to get at with Kubrick is he has a very strong personal connection with Jack as and he has his vision that may not line up with even the author of the material or fans of the material, but it's something that connected deep with Kubrick.
Yeah.
And I, frankly, I and one thing I will point out is I don't see the subtle build of madness in Jack in the book that people talk about. Like from the early pages, I can tell that Jack's a bit messed up,
Yeah.
and by a bit I mean a lot.
I completely agree with you. Now, as far as Clockwork Orange,
I'm going to talk about both
Oh,
real
okay.
quick. I think Kubrick is excellent at adapting books, and I find it very appropriate to him and to who he is as an artist that he would change the endings to suit how he would have ended the story. And in both cases, The Shining and A Clockwork Orange, I prefer his adaptation. The perfect movie. I wouldn't change anything about that film. really the only thing that A Clockwork Orange has over it for me is, one, nostalgia, and two, just the aesthetic to me is so appealing with like the neon colors and the wigs and the outfits and stuff. But I like the story, how it ends for A Clockwork Orange, but I don't think it would have been right for his movie. I'm glad that he changed it because it feels more appropriate to the story he was trying to get across in his film. I respect him a lot for changing it, although I am a huge fan of the different way that it ends in the book. So separate, but I'm glad that Kubrick did what he did there. And in The Shining, man, the ending of The Shining movie is so satisfying and great that I don't know why you would complain about that. And it's so strange to me that Stephen King doesn't like it, because I think it is one of the best horror films of all time and easily the best movie about that's one of Stephen King's books.
Well, I think Tom made a good point, and that's that, you know, Kubrick was fans of specific characters, so he wanted Alex to have a better ending. You know what I mean? He wanted Jack to have a better ending. So that makes sense to me. And I could see like the authors being like, well, it's not about him. It's not saying, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I could see that. But The Shining's my pick for this question. We are still in question one.
Yeah.
And it's just, you said it's the perfect movie, and I completely agree. Like, I almost enjoy more Room 237 because I just love the amount of detail Kubrick put in and learning about like the process behind everything, and that makes me appreciate The Shining even more.
Yeah.
I agree with TJ or Tom. I'm sorry, I keep seeing TJ in the chat and reading it. I see that he trimmed a lot of the fat, like you said, and he got to, I think, the core of what the story was, even if the author doesn't agree. Stephen King.
And yeah, TJ in the chat says that the big muscular guy in A Clockwork Orange who is carrying the typewriter guy is the same guy who
plays Darth Vader.
It was Darth Vader's in under the suit, and that
the real
is true.
Darth Vader,
Yeah.
not the guy that just came in so he could take off the.
You want to do the second question?
Sure, I guess so. Alrighty.
Yeah, forgive me if I get long-winded tonight. I have lots of feelings about Kubrick, good ones. So.
Our second question tonight is, what do you feel is the best performance in a film by Stanley Kubrick?
This one was incredibly easy for me, and I'm going to take a step back and show The War Room, because to me, there's no doubt that it's Peter Sellers from Dr. Strangelove. Because first off, he plays 3 different characters, and not only does he do that, he plays them all well. And they're all incredibly different. It's one of the best comedic performances, one of the best dramatic performances. Varying accents as well. He was absolutely fantastic. He made that movie the Peter Sellers show from start to finish. And so I wish I had more to say, except for that Peter Sellers is fantastic.
I think he's coming back.
Sorry about that, Tom. I don't know if we froze or if you froze, but you were just saying the last thing.
He played 3 characters and he played them well, and then it lagged.
Oh man. I was kind of rambling anyway, because he had to vary his accents. He had obviously very costume changes. It was a great comedic performance, dramatic performance, and more or less he made that movie from start to finish, which is a fantastic movie. He made it the Peter Sellers show.
Nice.
It's really, I mean, Jack Nicholson was great, but I don't think he didn't dominate the movie the way Peter Sellers dominated Dr. Strangelove.
Yeah, the chat is saying that they could hear you, so we must have frozen. We just couldn't hear what you were saying. So they heard everything you said, at least. I think this one should be easy for me and Tom, because I believe we have the same answer.
We do.
And we decided that we like Shelley Duvall in The Shining. This poor woman was tortured through the making of this film. Kubrick, obviously, famously, was not the easiest to work with and could be quite intense. And I would say that she probably got the worst of it. And she looks as terrified as she had to be in the situation. Like, she gives this just performance of sheer... Are we freezing again? What's going on? Oh, sorry, I think we froze again for a second. But just sheer horror, and it really sells it for you. It makes you scared to watch it.
Yeah. The greatest thing about the performance is it's almost wasn't a performance.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't know if that's cheating, but...
Whoa. It's method, sir. Method.
There you go.
Yeah.
Not by choice.
Horror method on the hands of Kubrick. Did get a result, and as we were talking about that movie before, it's a classic. It's as beautiful now as the day it came out, and I think that's going to be a movie that people will always watch, and that's in no small part to both Jack Nicholson's amazing performance and Shelley Duvall, who probably doesn't get as much acclaim as Nicholson, but was equally giving this amazing performance in that movie.
It's up that it took 127 times to get like one shot, and like it almost broke.
Yeah.
Broke her, yeah.
And think of the danger of her being in that bathroom as Jack Nicholson is axing down a real door. Not a breakaway door with a planned break, but an actual door.
Yeah, like I wouldn't want to be in her shoes for that. That sounds like a fucking nightmare, you know?
Eric Monroe says The Shining's a movie he watches when he's snowed in.
Love it.
Appropriate.
All right. Question 3. What is your favorite use of music in a Kubrick film?
This one was the one I actually didn't think about beforehand, but I might have to go back to, or no, yeah, it has to be Clockwork Orange. Kimber mentioned it earlier, but Ludwig van. The fact that it became completely integral to the plot of the movie, that it became basically his trigger and became the device of his behavioral conditioning. And it was probably the most interesting use of music. Therefore, got to be right up there with some of the best uses of all.
Yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth. It must have been while you were
kissing. What I like about it too is that they're giving you the score that is the musical taste of the character, so it just adds on to putting you into his point of view and where he's at with stuff, and they really haven't done anything like that before and after what they did with the music in A Clockwork Orange.
And it puts you in this like question of like, all right, what's your favorite song? Now, what if every time you listen to that song, it hurt you? And then what if you were forced to listen to that song? Like, it become, like you said, it's so important to the plot, and it's like weaponized against him. But you're telling me about another scene also from A Clockwork.
Yeah, real quick though, I also love that they're using classical music because it really adds to the timelessness or the out of time feel that A Clockwork Orange has. It makes it hard to like pinpoint when it's even supposed to take place, just because the outfits are so strange and futuristic almost for that time period, and then the music is so traditional and everybody knows those pieces of music. And it's just really interesting choice.
I think that's interesting because you would think maybe 10 years ago that it took place in the past because they're listing the vinyls and stuff.
Yeah.
But now that vinyls have like come back and stuff, this could easily be the far future.
Yeah.
So or close future. So yeah, that is a cool.
But I do have a favorite piece of music and scene in the film, and it's not the one that you guys are really talking about. I like the sped up orgy or three-way scene.
TV three-way.
Actual three-way, where he meets the two girls in the record store and he goes home with them, and we get and it's like a in fast forward sex scene, and it really made it funny, like a lot, but it also kind of kept it classy to have it sped up the way it was, because in a movie that's filled with like violent sex scenes and you know, sexual violence in general, to have this such lighthearted, hilarious, you know, romp in the middle of the movie with this music is so funny and really lightens the mood a lot and shows you like his sense of humor. So that's my favorite piece in the Clockwork Orange.
It lightens the mood, and it's all part of like the progression of the Alex character. Since at the beginning you're basically using the music not just from Beethoven, but during the sped up sex scene, where this is Alex enjoying his life. This is his fast paced, his just living life on the edge, fast paced music. And as we progress, you get the more somber Beethoven, which he loves, but is still making him sick. So it's all about the progression. That's how he starts the film.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like, we could talk about breaking down these movies all day because they really are so like rich with thought processes behind them. This guy truly like thought about these movies. He didn't just kind of like make a thing. But yeah, absolutely, I agree with you. I think we got one more.
Yeah. And the thing you were just saying about breaking down films all day will come back up after this. All right, so what is your favorite movie that's clearly inspired by Kubrick or influenced by?
This was the most open-ended question here, because it's very difficult to describe what is inspired, since he has inspired so many. But since my favorite was 2001, I always link 2001 with Close Encounters. And Close Encounters is probably my favorite Steven Spielberg movie. And both the progression and the contact with alien life, especially at the end, which is by far one of my favorite scenes from a Spielberg movie, up there with T-Rex, up there with some of the Jaws scenes, and that final moment of coming face to face with these aliens and basically becoming reborn and entering this new life with the aliens just contacting, that was, to me, was clearly inspired by 2001. And those two are some of my favorite sci-fi movies of all time, and that's basically why, not to mention the use of music in that beautiful score.
Yeah, that's I've never thought about it, but clearly, like when you think about it, that's if Two Forever comes back. And speaking of Twofer, we got to break this down, and there's a link down to the bottom where we compare A Clockwork Orange to my pick Bronson, which I think I saw in an altered state back in college, so I didn't remember much of it. But Kimber was like, "You need to watch it again. You need to watch it again." And wow, Tom Hardy is amazing in it. There's like, I'm not gonna go into it because I think you should check out the video. We go into it in depth.
It's a fantastic video.
And, thank you.
Thank you.
We had a lot of fun with it. But so I'm not gonna spend too much time on Bronson, but it's really good. Your pick.
Yeah, so my pick is There Will Be Blood, but also other things that Paul Thomas Anderson has worked on, like Phantom Thread, which I also definitely felt an influence from Kubrick. We loved Phantom Thread, by the way. I know, like, a lot of you guys are telling me that the advertising makes it seem... Are we freezing again? Okay. That the advertising is making it seem boring. That movie is not boring to me. That movie was beautiful the whole time we watched it, and it's really not even about what the trailers are advertising it like. So throw your expectations to the wind and go watch Phantom Thread. Amazing.
I think one of the most interesting comparisons you made was that it felt like an old Vincent Price film.
It did. It felt like Kubrick. It felt like an old Vincent Price movie. There was other things it reminded me of.
We really enjoyed
great.
it. But
There Will Be Blood is my favorite, if we're getting back to the question. It's my favorite movie of all time, and a lot of that has to do with how much it reminds me of a Kubrick film. It very much went from I'm going to do every frame a painting, and every frame of that movie is absolutely gorgeous, and it just, so much of it reminded me of so many different parts of Kubrick's work. And I do believe that Paul Thomas Anderson did say that this was his love letter to Kubrick. And to have this director who's kind of like almost keeping Kubrick's aesthetic and his way he makes movies kind of alive is really refreshing to me and really exciting to me. And I wish that more filmmakers would kind of do this interesting, weird, not afraid to be slow paced, but delivering you so much when it comes to like dialogue and cinematography. It's gorgeous.
Yeah.
And
I think we're getting there though. We're getting a lot of like resurgences of old styles. Just look at Peele and like compare him to Hitchcock. Like,
yeah, Hitchcock is the other thing I felt in Phantom Thread.
Yeah, for sure. But like Get Out is like definitely like the same, not as far as content, but like the slow and like not too slow, but the slow burn, you know what I mean, that pays off, which is nice.
And I felt so much of like The Shining and There Will Be Blood, with this tension that builds continuously throughout the whole movie, and you're just wondering when and how things are going to snap. And like when he does snap that tension, it's in the best possible and most interesting way. And like I could talk for 5 hours about why everybody should love that movie, and I know not everyone does, because I've pretty specific taste. But god damn, like, is There Will Be Blood, it couldn't be more perfect for me. Perfect is the only word I have that comes to mind.
It's his use of silence too.
Yeah, the whole fucking thing, amazing.
I never really thought of linking that movie with Kubrick, but I do remember reading that PTA was inspired a lot by Kubrick, and I could definitely see the parallels in Daniel Day-Lewis versus Jack Nicholson in The Shining. That progression into insanity.
Alex DeLarge too. I see some similarities in their characters, but
yeah,
just man,
something that you just don't.
What was that?
Sorry, I had some errors over here, but you can see from the beginning with There Will Be Blood that something just wasn't right with Plainview. Something like, yeah, you liken it to both Alex and Jack. Something wasn't right with him, and then it's like that little seed that they plant that grows throughout the film, except it's a bomb, not a plant, and it explodes.
Yeah, no, he's a fucking monster, man. And like you keep waiting for him to be redeemed.
Bastard in a basket.
And he, like, I don't want to talk too much about it for anyone who hasn't seen the movie, but like it just goes not in the way you would think that it would. And I love Eli Sunday as the bad guy in the movie, basically. Like, so interesting. Like, Paul Dano kills it. Like, to stand up next to Daniel Day-Lewis and to deliver a performance where they're just at odds the whole time and equals is so really impressive. And, like, impressive is a appropriate word for this movie. It's just, I haven't seen, I think Janine just watched it for the first time today, and she was telling me it came out in 2007. And I haven't seen a movie that really like hit me like that until I watched Phantom Thread. I loved Phantom Thread. You should have
seen her come. She was like,
I was just
hold on.
I'm like, yes. But I love Paul Thomas Anderson, and I'm so like glad that he decided to take so much inspiration from Kubrick, because that's the type of artist I would want to take inspiration from if I was a director.
And that's our questions, Tom. Thank you so much for joining us tonight and being our first caller. Do you want to do your plugs? What do you got going on?
Sure. Nothing much happening in the next few weeks. Gonna get Cars and Popcorn started back up at some point. Probably in the next few weeks, I'd say. But until then, YouTube, search Zed Reviews. There's a backlog of the entire first season along with the 2017 awards. And I would be remiss if I didn't plug the fact that just posted today on the Game Fixers Network, the most recent episode of Gamer Grudge, where Mac foolishly handed me the keys, and you can see if I drove it off a cliff or not.
Ha! That's cool. Who fought in that?
That was Mac versus TJ versus Jack.
Interesting.
Yeah, it was quite the fight, and I of course had to bring my little weirdness to the episode. So a few of the questions were very obviously written by me. They're pretty clear which ones. But it was a really fun show. There was a lot of cool pitches, and yeah, everyone should check it out.
Yeah, definitely. You can check that out over at the Game Fixers, which should be in our featured channels, as well as Zed Reviews. Bring us, Tom, and we'll talk to you soon, buddy. And thanks again for your support.
Thanks, guys. Love talking about Kubrick.
Eject.
They just decided to be good.
Yeah, maybe this is just chilling. She's right here.
Who do we got
Right
coming
here.
up next?
Up next is Billy Buddy.
We don't have any people skipping the line.
Oh, wait. Joe and Ashley, are you there? Billy, no. I ruined it. Don't accept the invite yet.
They did say that they weren't in a rush, so.
I don't know what's going on, and they're right here. You'd think I would remember.
See when I walk away?
Kimber left for 5 seconds. All went downhill.
The calls should go a little faster from here on out.
Yeah.
And, don't worry about repeat answers, guys. We want to hear
Okay.
like what these movies mean to you personally.
Geek to My Nerd is holding their turn. So Billy, come on in, buddy. Red Rover, let Billy come over. You guys ever play that, Red Rover?
Yeah.
I was talking to the younger generation.
I'm like, yeah, I had a childhood. I didn't just come out at 30 years old.
He did.
Because that would be painful. I know.
Yeah, and I also don't have Geek to My Nerd's email address.
You want yours?
Oh, wait, nope. It came up exactly how I spelled it. Well, they're on the Geek to My Nerd account. That's why.
Okay.
Well, I sent you both invites. Whoever accepts first can come in. You guys are being polite and stuff. I got busted in the nose. Blood. Oh, I thought you meant just now, Joe or Ashley. They're like, when they were playing Red Rover, they busted their nose open. I can see that, though, with the locked arms. Bam. A bam. A bam Margera. We'd like to thank you all for coming through. And if you're watching and you're not talking in the chat, do so. You know, tell us you're here. We love meeting new people. And we also have a Discord now that I'm usually in all the time. And we're trying to put more emphasis on like our community there. And, you know, if you have a YouTube channel, come on through, join the Discord. There's a spot where you can post your recent videos. And then we'll always be posting our stuff as long as, you know, we're alive, which we plan on being. So also, we wanted to point out that our wall will be getting a little bit more and more bare behind us. We are packing up to move to Texas. So TJ Dex says Bam Margera poured a milkshake on him once. Did he drink it all up?
I used to love Bam Margera back in like the Tony Hawk's Gigantic Skate Park Tour days.
When he was afraid of snakes?
Early Jackass. But now he looks like Uncle Phil.
Did you like him during Bam Margera? Or Viva La Bam?
No.
Yeah, he was always a jerk.
He's always a jerk.
Like, his uncle wasn't cool by any means, but that's not how you make friends. No, Don Vito got laid all the time because of that shit.
Oh yeah, his uncle wasn't Phil. It was Don Vito.
No, Phil is his dad, and the hamburger patches were the best. Remember? Because his dad needed to lose weight, so he went into anytime you guys want to join. I sent you an invite.
Someone please join.
Yeah, because I'm just going to talk about hamburger patches. He went into his dad's all of his clothes and put hamburger patches on his clothes. So little things.
Didn't he like release a crocodile in there or an alligator in their house or something?
What didn't they do? Well, you know, maybe if I leave.
Someone
you're
please
here.
call in. Would one of you guys please accept the call so we can keep the show moving?
Moving ladder.
Okay, cool. I think Joe and Ashley are going to come in. I don't know what happened to Billy.
Trying to be polite.
TJ says, it was for Viva La Bam. My cousin was a pro skater for Element and went to his house to skate. I went to video it and he used me as a skit without me knowing. He was a deek, it says, but I think that means dick.
It's not even a dick. That's worse.
He was a deek. Yeah, I bet. He liked that shitty band, him.
Yeah.
They didn't get an invite. Can you
Coolest
resend
thing
that?
about him is there. I sent it to Geek to My Nerd. Where am I sending it?
Where would you like us to send it, guys? Let us know in the chat. Send to mine or share a link. It's not coming in.
When you say mine, I assume Joe.
Yeah, because he said Ashley is back. So.
I didn't read the whole thing.
Mavis, you're cute, but you're out of frame.
Yeah, people can't see how cute you are. What are you doing? You're wasting your cute powers. Let's use them for good.
Yep, just waiting for a caller.
So, Kimber, what have you been up to lately?
This move and work. That's what I've been up to lately.
No podcasts?
Yeah, TV Three-Way with Matthew Whitaker. Check those out for sure. Hey, Ash and Joe, how you doing?
Hello. Not sure how we're looking because we don't have a camera on ourselves. So, because of course this kind of.
You guys look fantastic.
Okay.
Damn.
All right, let's get right into this. Do you guys like Stanley Kubrick?
He's cool.
Yeah, I haven't seen a lot of his movies, but the few that I have, I've really enjoyed.
I haven't seen a whole bunch of them, but they're good. They're very, very good.
So, what is your favorite Kubrick film?
I'm gonna go with 2001. It's the first Kubrick film I ever saw, and it is a beautiful science fiction masterpiece that verges on science reality, so to speak.
And for me, mine is Dr. Strangelove. I tried to watch it when I was in college for a film project. I've told this story before, and I fell asleep, and I regret not trying to rewatch it until probably last year. Just such a great satire of everything that was going on at the time, and I think is still pretty relevant to today, and overall brilliant movie, and I just think it's a great story.
Yep.
Awesome. Good choices for sure.
As a follow-up,
and did you have, what do you think is the best performance that is Kubrick directed in one of his movies?
I'm with Tom. With
Peter Sellers.
Yeah.
That was my answer as well, because, and Tom said a lot of the things already, of course, but just the capturing the essence of these three characters, and you don't even realize it's three different actors if you don't look at the IMDb. He looks totally different,
and they're radically different characters.
Yeah, as the doctor, as the president, and then as the soldier. I would have never known it was one person because he just melds right into each of those roles so brilliantly, and I think that's probably why a lot of comedians try to do something similar where they'll play all the roles in a movie or multiple roles because they're trying to achieve what Peter Sellers did in that movie, and I don't think it's ever been topped.
Peter Sellers, Eddie Murphy is not.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's got to be so fun for any actor to have these different roles and get to really dig into it and show their chops as an actor. I would think that'd just be a blast. And then working with a movie that's of that level with Stanley Kubrick directing you has got to be so insane. He probably had an experience unlike anyone else's, you know?
Right.
Definitely. And I want to say he was nominated for that performance, but I can't remember off the top of my head, which usually an actor is nominated for one role, but for the fact that he was, for all three of the roles, kind of in one combined situation.
He just has 3 nominations in the same category now.
That's kind of what I was thinking.
That'd be awesome. Just, it's him. So which one will he win for? Oh, no, he got robbed. He should have totally gotten it for murking, not the doctor.
Nice.
If they had Twitter back in the day.
Oh yeah, people would be going crazy. But what is your guys' favorite use of music in a Kubrick movie?
I know what yours is, but mine is 2001. The initial that song, the obelisk and the primates, is just the doom 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 doom, because it's reused so much for so many attempted epic scenes like that, and it's one song that sets the tone for that whole scene he's going to be.
Yeah, that's got to be one of the most like duplicated scenes of all time, like parodied and just everywhere. Everyone knows that, even if they don't understand the reference, they've seen that for sure.
They've seen that in so many things. It's on The Simpsons.
Yep.
There's a lot of Kubrick things that are in Simpsons and other like Matt Groening.
Sorry.
For me, going back to my favorite Doctor Strangelove, when the bomb goes off at the end and they play the song "We'll Meet Again Some Sunny Day," and just the beautiful irony of no, you will not meet anyone ever again. The world is gone. Nobody got into the bunker in time. Nobody was warned. Bye planet Earth. Just such a classic song, and it's from like another movie. I can't remember exactly which one. But it was definitely referencing a previous idea, and then that song is referenced a lot in pop culture as well. So, it's a timeless one, even though the song is old.
Yeah, it's so interesting because he tends to pick music that people are already familiar with, and so he's taking something that's already like a known song, like Beethoven or like these other songs that have been used before, and he's bringing this whole new life to them and turning it into people remembering it for his references, and that's kind of amazing that someone can even do that. And really, no one's ever going to be able to use those songs without evoking the scenes that he used them in his films.
Because even if you don't understand the 2001 song, like even if you don't get that it's a reference to the movie, like because it's been used so many times, you know that it's supposed to give like this epic feeling, and and that comes across regardless.
He freaking does Singing in the Rain and A Clockwork Orange, and I would almost say that like, if you start like singing that song, people are gonna think you're referencing A Clockwork Orange, which is it's crazy. Like no one really.
Well, it's similar to nobody knows what Hello Dolly is, but everyone recognizes it as those scenes from WALL-E.
Yeah, Hello Wally.
We also want to take a moment to thank Joe and Ashley, who sent us a while back a little Alex DeLarge pop vinyl.
Yeah, I love that thing. I think it's packed up now. DJ asked about the Dobby in the chat. Dobby is packed up right now, unfortunately. So Dobby is on vacation right now. He'll be back after the move.
He's gonna open a box like.
Yeah, be careful.
You just see the Dobby like over Ashley's shoulder.
Yeah, if you just see like a box ripped open, I'm gonna venture to say probably Dobby. But okay, one more question tonight, but this one's pretty open, and I think this will be the one that we get, diversity in answers. So what was your favorite movie that clearly was influenced or inspired by Stanley Kubrick?
Well, because I'm not as aware and acquainted with Kubrick stuff as much as other people are, I actually don't have a movie reference, but I have a show reference. My favorite is the episode of Toast of London, where Toast accidentally stumbling across Stanley Kubrick's moon landing filming
at Pinewood Studios. And recounts the whole thing on TV and has no
live
idea
on television
that he's like ruined this whole
risking
secret
like American history kind of stuff. So
episode is that like the CIA trying to get back at him, and
it's the B plot.
He has no clue what he's done.
Remember we watched a movie where someone thought he was Kubrick, but he wasn't? Movie. I can't remember what it was.
I feel like Jason Schwartzman might have been in that one.
It was really good. It was on Netflix, and he gets hired to do fake the moon landing.
Yeah.
Nice.
That sounds familiar. Mine's also a television show reference because, again, I couldn't really think of any like specific movies, but I did think of like one of the first episodes of Spaced, which is Edgar Wright's television show, and there's a lot of movie influences in that one, but there's definitely a lot of Kubrick references. At one point, they're like looking at the flat that they're going to rent under the guise of that they're a couple, and they open the pantry door, and these two little twins are there, and it's like, we finished cleaning ever and ever and ever, and it's like, okay, we'll go on and play. And I think there's a 2001 reference when they open up the freezer and it's frosted back over.
She's defrosted it multiple times, but it always seems to refrost up, almost like it's. And then Brian cuts in with her, and then you see Simon Pegg standing up in the background whistling Daisy, as they're just like everything's getting like more horror themed and.
Nice.
So yeah, there's a couple
like
of them, and then there's also tons of ones on the Simpsons, and Futurama has a really good 2001 parody where the ship kind of acts like is really obsessed with Bender because they start dating, and then Bender's like breaking up with her, but how do you break up with the ship? And she starts doing all of these horrible things to the crew, and there's just tons of references, and I think it's kind of the credit to Kubrick that he's influenced a lot of filmmakers and creators out there because so good.
Yeah, I've always loved when they did it with a couple characters on The Simpsons, but particularly Bart Simpson dressed up like Alex DeLarge. Because I don't think a lot of people realize, but Alex is supposed to be like 16 or something in the book when he's doing all these terrible things. So it's funny to see like this young character kind of like horrible in his own ways, dressed up as an homage.
Pretty sure Simpsons did that twice. I think they did it with Bart, and I think they did it with Homer as well.
Yeah,
images of Homer dressed as him as well.
They did a few characters.
Mo, yeah, because I think it was Barney, Mo, and Homer.
Yeah,
were dressed nice.
But I always liked Bart because it seemed like the most appropriate.
Oh yeah,
I think it was one of the Halloween episodes they were actually doing like the whole like skit was a reference to Clockwork Orange. Like it was being told in the narration fashion of the film and things like that.
Cool.
Is Moon one?
Yeah.
Yeah, Moon with Sam Rockwell. That's such a good movie. I haven't seen it. Oh man.
Yeah, didn't David Bowie's son direct Moon?
He did.
Yeah.
Same guy who directed Warcraft.
But much better than Warcraft. If you guys haven't seen Moon, like Moon's really interesting.
Really good.
If you guys like 2001, I think you would definitely like Moon. It's kind of like a hidden gem.
I actually think that's on my because it's on Netflix, right?
Oh, is it? Because I'll watch that tonight.
It was at one point.
I remember hearing about it, and I think it was, or am I getting it confused with the Europa report? But regardless, I've heard of it, and I don't remember where I heard of it. But is it like Sam Rockwell's like basically the only person there, and there's like
he's on something? He does a one-man mission to the moon, and people take turns.
Yeah, I think I remember seeing something about it, and I don't remember where. I think maybe it was on Netflix once, and such. I can't remember, but I have heard of it.
Yeah, and Billy in the chat, his name is Duncan Jones, that director, and he is David Bowie's son. And Chase says, yes, the Treehouse of Horror was called A Clockwork Yellow.
He also said that the name of that movie I was talking about may have been
Moonwalkers. Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, I'm thinking that sounds familiar now.
Nice.
All right, well, that's all the questions. Do you want to plug anything you have coming up? I know you just gave us a delightful shout-out on your BFF.
Well, yeah, because you guys are awesome. But we just did a Pan's Labyrinth review over at the Tough channel if you want to check that out. And then in the coming weeks, starting this upcoming Sunday, later in the evening, we are going to be starting our special called To Infinity War and Beyond. I'm talking about the Iron Man trilogy. And then the next week, we're going to talk about the Captain America trilogy going into Black Panther. So, yeah.
Wow,
so, yeah.
That sounds like I like that.
Yeah, we're looking forward to that. We're going to watch all the movies for Iron Man this week. And we don't have the exact time nailed down for a Sunday show because we have our friend's birthday to go to. So we have
lots of obligations in the coming months.
Figure out like, okay, when will that end? When can we get online? So we'll post that later this week when we can kind of map out the timing a little better. But we'll try to keep them at like a consistent time.
Yeah.
So that, everybody can tune in.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to start doing some more Let's Plays of Stardew Valley on Saturday mornings because I want to continue with that game and try to build relationships with all the townspeople. And it's such a cute little farming / dungeon delving little cute game. And I like it. And I've been wanting to play it, but I don't want to play it when I'm not streaming it so people don't miss all the little stories because I think it's an adorable game. I like it.
Yeah, for sure. We're looking forward to that.
Jinx.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us, guys. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you for having us.
Bye.
Probably in like 20 minutes.
Yeah, right.
Or 2 minutes to turn the chat.
Billy.
Well, that's delightful.
Billy's coming in, right?
Well, we're at a conundrum.
Why?
I don't know if Randall's coming.
I'd like to. I just have to get out of the. Yeah, so give him a few.
Okay. Randall has fast passed that.
Yeah, so
we'll put to make sure we're doing anything.
We'll put Billy in, and then after that, we're gonna have Randall in.
Once he gets out of his bottle pants.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you got it working, Billy, come on in whenever you are ready.
And bye, Chase. Have a good night. Thanks for coming by.
Yeah, thank you so much. I know you were looking forward to it. He loves Kubrick. He was tweeting all about it.
Nice.
There he is. Hey, Billy.
Wow.
We match.
Yellow shirt
Hello.
twins.
Yes. Tom knows his. He knows what to wear. He knows what's up.
You guys are like the only two people who can wear yellow and not look terrible, apparently. So congratulations.
No, and I'm loving the pigtails, Kimber, and the eye makeup.
Thank you. Thank you
Very
so
well.
much.
She just got a bunch of new makeups. She
I
loves them.
did.
She went red when we went to go see Phantom Thread.
Yes.
So we gotta get through these questions. Number one, Billy, is what is your favorite?
This is a tough one because he has a lot of them, and I haven't seen all of his films. Surprisingly, there are a couple that I haven't seen, like Lolita, Barry Lyndon, and everybody's said Paths of Glory is really good, like the one with Kirk Douglas. And yeah, I have these 5 right here, and my favorite out of all of them is going to be probably Clockwork Orange, same as Kimber, and there are many reasons for that. I mean, first I want to say that I love Stanley Kubrick. The first time I ever watched any of his films, I didn't get it. Like I straight up hated it. And that made me mad because I wanted to understand, like, why is this guy so revered and everything? Like, why is he considered a genius? And then I really thought about it, and then I'm like, well, you got to watch his films multiple times in order to pick up on stuff. And there's a lot of little things that come into play. A lot of it is just like the experience, like 2001, where it doesn't give you a plot straight out. But Clockwork Orange, I was really disturbed the first time I saw it for obvious reasons. I'm not going to get into major spoilers, but let's just say there are some scenes that I find very uncomfortable. And I watched it when I was around the same, I think I was 15 as well, Kimber. And yeah, I was not the same. I was like, they let this get into a, wide released movie. Because this was NC-17. This was banned in countries. But Alex is amazing. I mean, he's scary. He's still scary. The plot's great. Beethoven, I never listened to the same way again, nor Singing in the Rain. And I just gotta say, I was cured all right.
Nice. Yeah, you guys know that I'm very driven by how movies make me feel when I watch them. That's why I'm a big fan of Blade Runner, which is also a movie that people either tend to love or hate. But I like the way that a lot of Kubrick's movies make me feel when I watch them. And that's really the biggest thing with The Clockwork Orange is that really there's no other experience like watching that movie. And that makes it special to me. So, And yeah, Malcolm McDowell was fucking perfect in that movie. Like, he's so exciting to watch in that, and like his face is so expressive.
Everybody, even like the creepy guidance counselor is great. The mom's great. The dude, the tenant is great.
And like the details, I remember I was watching with you, and then like you noticed for the first time that scene with the guy from the school, and he drinks the cup of water, and he realizes there are dentures in it, and like that's the type of thing you don't notice on the first viewing of the movie, and then once you notice it, you can't unnotice that part. It's a masterpiece. It's perfect.
All right, question number 2. What do you think is the best performance in a Kubrick film?
This is also really tough because Kubrick really knows how to bring out great performances. But I went with an unconventional choice, and I picked Hal from 2001: A Space Odyssey. And he's voiced by Douglas Rain. And I found a fun fact that he shares the same birthday as I do. So that's pretty cool. And
what is it about that performance that really stands out to you?
He's probably one of the scariest things ever, and one of the coolest robots. You think that he's just like this. He's this red circle battery thing. You're like, oh, that can't be intimidating. No, just his voice, how calm, collected it is. You know, open the pod bay doors, Hal, and he's just like, I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't let you do that. Just so monotone, but he's so sure of everything. It's like the scene when the astronauts are discussing what to do with Hal, and they don't know that he can read lips, and you know he's smarter than the other guys.
Yeah, and we were talking about stuff that's inspired by Kubrick. Well, Hal inspired one of my favorite video game characters of all time, and that's GLaDOS from Portal.
Oh yeah.
Like I love that, and I love how great she captures like what you love about Hal, but has her very own definite, you know, character going on at the same time. She's like a female Hal. But yeah,
I always thought it was because like when you think robot, you think a physical thing, and it's like what if Skynet was the Terminator?
Yeah,
like it's
a computer.
It wasn't something coming after you. It was like something that could control, like a smart house, like the Disney smart house thing, but like evil.
That's a great movie.
I also saw you guys talking about the Criterion Collection, and that made me think of I had to fight against Stanley Kubrick on that round on Tough when I fought Garrett and Jonathan Youngblood. And I believe that Stanley Kubrick was the only director that all three of us had on our short list. And I think Jonathan ended up getting Kubrick because he got to choose first. And I beat him with David Lynch.
Which t-shirt?
Yeah, that was my argument, was what won that round for sure. That's how you know she's judging fair, because it's really hard to like go up against such a titan of directing and with so many wonderful movies. And also like him being my favorite director of all time made it really difficult for me to like say bad things about him.
Who gave you that point?
Alicia Malone gave me that point. Yeah. And I know that she also is a fan of David Lynch. That's not why I chose him. I stand by everything I said, but it was very difficult fighting against Stanley Kubrick in any kind of best director category.
Real quick, I want to say hello to AJ in the chat. He hung out with me and Randall for about an hour and a half while I was playing Mario the other day.
Oh, nice.
And he was my champion. The only reason I cleared the cannonball ship. It was great. It was all because of him.
Are we on the second question?
We are.
Yeah.
I also wanted to say real quick before we get into the third one, I also got a big Hal vibe during Age of Ultron when he was coming into consciousness.
Yeah,
and,
unfortunately
not as good, obviously, but I felt like they definitely.
I have many thoughts about Age of Ultron, but I want to say one more thing about Hal's performance. It's so much harder to convey emotion with just your voice rather than, you know, sometimes you can use a physical performance if you don't have the best voice. And then the best performances are those that can use their voice and, you know, physicality. But to use just your voice, it's so much harder to do. Like, that's why voice acting is so hard.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the reason I wanted to pick Hal was because despite not having a physical presence there besides like a light, he's so intimidating, and yet calm and collected. You know what I mean?
It makes the light scary. Like the light gets ominous when you look at it. It gets scarier as it progresses.
My dad was a volunteer fireman when I was a kid, and he had a call box, and it was all the time. It was just a red light, and I saw Space Odyssey when I was a kid, like I was saying, and that thing bugged me out. That's funny. I repressed that.
Randall, I hope you fixed the stuff there. You have a couple more questions to try to figure that out. That's a bummer.
All right. What is your favorite use of music in a film by Stanley Kubrick?
I interpreted this as what is the best. For me, personally, probably not the best in his filmography overall, but I love We'll Meet Again, Don't Know Where, Don't Know When. Yeah, I need Raul with me to sing. But yeah, the very last...
Wasn't bad at all.
It could be better. But yeah, it is from Dr. Strangelove, or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Bomb. Fantastic, fantastic movie. One of the best comedies of all time. And it just... I love how it just clashes with... I'm going to I don't know if I should spoil the end of it, but it clashes with the... Okay, yeah, it clashes with the end of the movie so well, like what happens. And it's like this cheerful, happy song, you know, like, hey, we're all together, we're in this. And then, you know, when you see what happens.
Yeah, I think that Ashley might have said something about that, so you were probably good there. But yeah, awesome choice. I like that.
Yeah, Tom Zambino also mentioned Peter Sellers. He was a runner-up for Best Performance because... Yeah, 3 performances in those movies, and they're all very different. I noticed in like a background when Dr. Strangelove is, you know, it's like his last scene, and he's like biting his arm and everything, and he's going like this. The guys behind him were cracking up. I always notice that. Like one of the guys is just, he can't hide a smile because it's just so funny.
Nice. One more question for you tonight. It's a pretty broad question, so it could go pretty much anywhere, but what do you think is the best movie that was Kubrick inspired?
Oh, this is very tough for me, but I decided to go with another director, and yes, I did bring a prop. Props are coming back. Hashtag props. And that is Brazil by Terry Gilliam. And you might not think that at first. You're like, how could this movie that's a dystopian, like 1984 inspired movie be anything like a Kubrick film? But a lot of it is political satire, and that's exactly what Dr. Strangelove is. And a lot of the look feels like a Stanley Kubrick movie, even though yes, it is Terry Gilliam. Amazing performances. Just, it's very strange the first time you watch it.
I was gonna say Brazil is like a mix between Kubrick and like Lynch.
Yeah,
you know
it's
it's
very and you don't get it the first time. I didn't get it the first time. And it's also hard because there are multiple cuts of the film. Terry Gilliam had to fight for the true ending to the film. And yeah, when you watch it the first time, you're like, I don't know how to feel about this, but yeah, the more you watch it, the more you pick up on stuff, and the more you just love this world. Like in such a terrible dystopian dictatorship, just how massive and beautiful it looks. And yeah, we should definitely do a director spotlight on Terry Gilliam because Sam.
We're getting a lot of that. Yeah.
But yeah, I can see Kubrick inspiration on Terry Gilliam in general, like even down to like the Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus and stuff. There's moments that I can see that kind of like aesthetic that Kubrick has influencing some of the choices that he made.
I wish Tom Waits got to work with Kubrick.
Tom Waits getting cast as the devil is like my single most favorite casting choice of all time. It's really good, and that they lost Heath Ledger during the making of that movie, but I think that was one of the most interesting ways to handle that situation. It was really creative with casting the 3 actors to play the character, but through like the mirror, so it makes sense that he appears different throughout. And yeah, Gilliam's weird, and delightful. I would love to do that for sure.
Yep. So is Stanley Kubrick, and just even though it's not the best movie, I really like AI, just because it's not technically Kubrick because Spielberg did direct that, but he did make it with Stanley Kubrick, and he made it. It's in memory of him, so that's something. I mean, if as someone as powerful as Steven Spielberg and as like influential as Steven Spielberg, he totally respects him and everything.
Yeah, like
he
if
made
you've
it.
ever heard like the phrase like standing on the shoulders of giants, like he's
Oh,
the
yeah.
giant
Yeah.
that they're referring to when it
Yeah.
comes to filmmakers.
AJ in the chat said he's a legend.
Yeah, true story though, for real. It's amazing the amount of movies we wouldn't have if Kubrick never made the films that he did.
Yeah, he was also going to do a Napoleon movie, and he did intense research, but I would have liked to have seen that. But, we got the films that he made, and we're lucky that we have these films.
Yeah, I do think it's a shame with AI because I feel like AI could have been much better had Kubrick been behind the helm, and that has nothing to do with Spielberg. I just think that wasn't a Spielberg movie, it was a Kubrick movie, and that it didn't really come out the way that I hoped it would have. There are things I like, just the idea of Jude Law as a sex robot is kind of funny to me.
I don't think the ending would have been the same at all.
No. And I like Eyes Wide Shut, but it does feel a little disappointing that was his last movie, because I don't know if that was like the best note to end on for him. I think AI could have been a better way to end his amazing career, but it is what it is. We can't control stuff like that. If we could keep Stanley Kubrick alive, he would have made 100 more movies.
Apparently there's another documentary with Kubrick called Kubrick Boxes that Randall's talking about.
Cool.
I know, and Randall is having technical difficulties.
Yeah, it seems like, unfortunately. Let us know who's up next to call in. But before we get there, Billy, do you have anything you'd like to plug?
Yeah, you can find me all over the Odd Shaped Panel shows. I'm a big supporter. The podcast I was working on, it's going to be delayed a little bit, but it's still coming along nice. It's called Pros and Cons, and it's about convention experiences. You guys are definitely going to be on it when I get it up and running.
Yeah, we're looking forward to that. That should be fun. I always like hearing about people's experiences at different cons. You have one episode on Blizzard Con and the next on Santa Con, and you could be the same person because it's going to be a completely different experience.
Mine would be Florida SuperCon.
SuperCon.
Florida.
We talk about Philly
Yeah.
too. I went to a few lame game cons when I was
About to go to another con, so it's more appropriate now because there'll be more stories. But yeah, I'm gonna step out of here. I could talk about Kubrick all night, but yeah, let's get everybody else in. I love hearing what you guys think.
All right, man. Well, it's great having you, and we'll talk to you soon, buddy.
Okay, no problem.
It might be an early night, but
Looks
that's
like.
never terribly surprising when it's a director's spotlight because a lot of what people wanted to say has been said.
Yeah, and we a lot of people came by to say hello at the very least, so we appreciate that. So if we don't have any more callers, then
It's definitely a no for Randall.
it looks like I'm stalling a little bit. Speaking of Randall, check out the Super Mario Brothers Let's Play we did together, 1 and 3. That we did because we started a series of Let's Plays to go along with the new podcast on Odd Shape Channel, From Code to Script, which is a video game to movie adaptation show where TJ Dex and a guest discuss the movie of that episode. We're trying to get more podcasts and stuff on the channel. When we're moving to Austin, we don't know how hands-on we're going to be. We're definitely going to still be here for Odd Shape Panel. and some other great content. Like I'm sure binge recaps will still be doing and stuff like that.
TV three-way for sure.
And of course coming back for Encrypted and Night's Watch. But we want to get some more content up on here. So it's great. TJ came along. Mormo should be starting back up again soon. And now we're able to work with Screen Mayhem, which Kimber hosts TV three-way now, which you can find both at screenmayhem.com and their iTunes, as well as here on the YouTube channel. I'm doing the Down Pilot podcast with Eric Ossemacher. We're going to have a new episode out tomorrow. Ashley Davis suggested watching and discussing the American version of the IT Crowd. I don't appreciate that. It was not great, but that'll be up tomorrow.
And speaking of the lovely and talented Ashley Davis, she's going to be our next guest on TV Three-Way, which we should have out on Monday, hopefully. So look out for that coming soon. She is perfect because she writes for Screen Mayhem, and she, of course, is very involved with us here at Odd Shape Panel. So look out for that. We're really excited. And anything else?
No, I think that's about it.
Patreon.com is where you can become patrons if you want to try this Skip the Line feature, or you just want to support us, or some of the other great prizes.
The Skip the Line feature also comes with the treat.
Yep, the exclusive treats.
The 1 out of 3 treats.
Yeah. And
yeah,
I think that's it, guys. Yeah. Thanks for talking with me about my favorite director tonight. That was fun.
Kimber's just trying to end this so we can go get chicken nuggets. And I think there's one more caller out there. I don't like these aggressive chicken nuggets. That's it from us.
A TV Three-Way, AJ is asking in the chat. It's a show we do on the channel here and through Screen Mayhem, where me and my co-host Matt Whitaker, we watch pilots of shows. So we each pick one, and we have a guest every time. So there's 3 of us. And we watch the pilots, and then we rate them on their bingeability, talk about what we liked and what we didn't like, and if we intend to watch more episodes. So check that out.
Which is the exact opposite of the Down Pilot podcast, which me and Eric Ossemacher discuss pilots that never really make it off the ground, or at least past 1 or 2 episodes. So it should be interesting. Next one after this that we're going to be doing is the Justice League of America show they tried to do, and they turned it into a TV movie. It has Guy Gardner, Fire and Ice, Martian Manhunter, and The Flash from the 90s. That should be a good one.
And our TV Three-Way is Riverdale, The Marvelous Miss Maisel, and Toast of London. So I forgot to say that before.
Yeah, so a lot of good stuff coming up in the future. Me and TJ are going to be recording Double Dragon together from '94, and me and Randall, hopefully, if we can get this equipment stuff figured out. If not, we'll still figure out something. We'll be playing Double Dragon maybe on Saturday. I haven't really talked to Randall about it. Let me know, Randall, what's going on. So yeah, we're trying to do a bunch, and
that's it.
That's it.
Chicken.
Bye, everyone. We're gonna go get chicken nuggets now.
Bye.